If you've done a lot of work on yourself, but still find yourself struggling, or maybe if you find yourself giving a lot of advice, but having a hard time living it yourself, and or maybe you've had a really bad therapist at one point and been really frustrated by them, this episode is for you.
So, Karen,
it's Emily.
Patterns, yeah. I'm a professional therapist. You are crazy, bro.
Great.
Oh.
And that therapist was me, by the way, and we'll tell you about it here in a second. My name is Emilio.
And I'm Rachel.
And we are the Relationship Renegades.
And our mission at Relationship Renegades is to help co-create a world where healthy, happy, harmonious relationships are the new norm.
So we're going to be dissecting the episode/comedy sketch, Your Therapist Needs More Therapy Than You Do.
And my partner just feels like he's like easygoing.
I was a crazy, ridiculous therapist that was avoiding my own shit. And here's the thing. All of us are going through stuff. Mm-hmm. We're all spiritual beings having this human experience, doing our best to figure out what is life, what is this, and how do I navigate it?
Yes.
And so we're all just doing our best. One of my favorite quotes is by Ram Dass, and it says, we're all just walking each other home. And to me and to us, it's such a beautiful way to live because a lot of times we get triggered.
Who are you talking about?
I'm being extremely professional right now.
You are sweating. Again.
It's empathy. Okay?
We're out in the world blaming people and saying, oh, this person. But it's like, if we had an opportunity to just be like, oh, I can learn from everybody. What's the gold in everybody? Most times people who are triggering us, it's something within us that we want or we're not doing.
Yeah.
And so it's a great mirror.
Yeah.
And so we're all just walking each other home. We're all helping each other out. And if we lived life that way, life gets better. Life becomes this heaven on earth experience that we talk about in our higher love aspect of Relationship Renegades.
Yes.
It can be done. That's the world that we want to co-create with you.
Yes.
And it's possible.
And I love that you said that because one of my favorite, there was a book I was reading, I can't remember what it was, but it said every single person is a gift because they are teaching you how you do or don't want to be. And I love that. And I think we really brought that up in the episode. I think even my character is like, just seeing you avoid yourself made me realize I do not want to be like that. This really helped.
It has.
Yeah. I mean, watching you work so hard to avoid yourself made me realize, I do not want to be like that. So, so instead of blaming that person or attacking that person or thinking there's something like that bothers you about them, it could just be like, oh, thanks for showing me. Like, what a gift. What a gift that is. That before I didn't really recognize this in myself, but now I can recognize it. So what a gift.
Yeah,
and if you have seen the episode, we love to hear maybe one of your favorite lines or favorite scenes. And if you haven't seen it, pause this episode, go watch it. It's really fun. It's pretty funny. Emilio is hilarious in this episode.
It's pretty ridiculous. I love when we just drop into different types of characters. I love when you drop into different characters and myself and how they just sort of come about. If you're ever interested in how we become and create different characters, let us know. We're actors and producers and we love doing this, whether it's our own productions or actually in movies where we start together or in some TV shows or in some commercial things like that.
Yeah,
a lot
and
of
that
funny
process
stuff.
is so fun to talk about too. So yeah, if you guys want an episode where we're talking about like our process in creating these sketches or characters and or a sketch that you would love to see us do, drop it in the comments because we would love to hear it.
So back to my ridiculous therapist character.
Can I ask you a question?
I prefer you didn't.
If you've seen it or haven't seen it, basically, I'm here to, she came to therapy and I'm this therapist who's starting off well, but then as she's starting to talk about what's going on in her life and with her partner, it's very triggering to me.
But like, why did you become a therapist?
Her husband is essentially me. And I'm like, like he has a right to feel that way. And obviously he's feeling that way. And she's like, well, why? And I'm like, well, because. And I'm like, but I'm trying to do therapy on her, but I'm having this reaction inside of me because it's very resonant to me. There's a tuning fork here. And if you saw the episode with dating yourself, another great one, we talk about the tuning forks and how we attract who we are. Yes. Check that out if you haven't. But I had this tuning fork of, some stuff that I got to work on, and I'm avoiding it and still trying to do therapy on her because she came for therapy. But it's funny how it starts to unravel where there's a point in the episode where I like pretend like I need to go get water, but I just try to go and sort of get myself together.
I need some water. You want some water?
No, I'm good.
I'm going to get some water.
And come back.
It's one of my favorite parts of the episode. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's such a great example of how ridiculous we can all be when we have our unhealthy patterns, and especially with this one, avoidance, like all the different excuses we might make up before having a hard, uncomfortable conversation.
Yes.
And especially, I love that in this episode, it really helps people understand, helps me understand. One of the themes we were trying to showcase is that there is no there. There's no there that anyone ever gets to where everything is just peachy. Even therapists, coaches, teachers, spiritual gurus, like no one is immune from the work, you know, and we say the work, it's the human, it's the journey, you know, because life is messy and it's hard. And every new chapter of life is asking for a new version of each of us. And sometimes it's really hard to grow. And sometimes it's scary, and it's okay to have different patterns that might pop up. It's more about like, what do we do when those patterns pop up? Yeah.
And, you know, it is normal. Again, we're these spiritual beings having this human experience, and we're all getting triggered. We're all doing our best. And I want to bring up, you've probably heard it a lot. And if you haven't, there's these things called shadows that we all have. And shadows are the things that we hide, suppress, deny, or distract from ourselves. Okay. It's the Netflixing and chilling. It's not wanting to have the conversation. It's distracting. It's numbing ourselves. It's doing all these different things rather than just facing it, rather than just feeling it. Okay. And when we hide, suppress, deny, distract, it's like holding a beach ball underwater, and you're having all these beach balls that you're holding underwater, and there's a lot of pressure, and it's taking a lot of energy out of you, and you're wondering why you're tired and everything. And it's emotionally because you're holding all these beach balls underwater. And it's not until you feel them that you let go and they release, and they create so much freedom within you. And so yeah, feeling it is a big part of this thing. But first is the awareness of like, what is the shadow? You know, what is it? I don't feel good enough. Is it, I don't have enough? Is it, I'm better than, like, what are these shadows that we have?
And we all have them, by the way. Nobody's immune to them.
My therapist certainly had them. Yeah. And I was avoiding it, like most of us do in life.
Yes.
But, you know, I think if we want to have a healthy, happy, harmonious relationship, which is what we want to co-create together with you, with our tribe, because that's possible, then we need to feel them. We need to face them.
Yes.
Right?
And I'd love to ask everyone listening, like, what is a pattern that you've recognized in yourself that may come up? You know, in the episode, it was clearly he was very avoidant of what was happening inside of him. I'm curious if you've recognized in yourself, like, is it some people avoid, some people freeze, some people attack and get really reactive? I know for me, definitely avoidance has been in my past. And it's actually been a really interesting thing for my own personal journey, because I do feel like my past pattern was a lot of avoidance. But then I had so much pain around avoiding, then I kind of swung this way far the other way, where I would try and like fix things right away. Like I would just try to be like, no, we got to fix it right away. And talk about it and use all the tools, which is a great thing. But I've had to learn recently, like there's kind of some middle ground where maybe a little bit of time sometimes is really important. But the hard part, if you've become like, if you're like what I've got into, like a fixer, what I've had to learn is really a beautiful thing. And an important thing is that some time and space can be really healthy and healing. Like, because people have space and time to process their emotions and to kind of sit with themselves for a little bit longer and maybe de-escalate some really intense emotions. But one of our favorite sayings at Relationship Renegades is that there's a common phrase that people say, this is like, oh, time heals everything. And we actually really disagree with that statement, because time doesn't really heal anything. Some time can be helpful, but what actually helps heal something is to feel it, to process it. Like processing is what creates the healing to happen. And sometimes if you take too much time, we start to believe and recreate all these stories, and those stories get louder, and we create a bunch of false realities, and we feel like they're so real, even though they might not be real at all. But the first and most important thing ever is to like feel it, like to sit in the uncomfortable. And I don't know about you, but has been really hard for me, but also one of the most beautiful things for me as well.
Because when you feel that, it changes your nervous system. And when your nervous system changes, your reality changes. A lot of times when time passes, you're like, oh, I'm good up here in my head. Like everything's fine. That's at surface level. But deep inside, there's still stuff going on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's energy. Energy, it's transferable. Sometimes things get messy. It's science.
And you can live like that totally fine. But if you're wanting and seeking and craving a higher love experience, a heaven on earth experience, it's possible. Let me just put it this way. What you resist persists.
Yeah.
Period. And you can be in your head and consciously being like, oh, everything's all right and everything seems cool. But underneath the surface, the nervous system has not calibrated, has not processed. So it's still running an old program.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're like, well, what do I do? You know, of course we have tools, experiences, transformational media to help out with that. Comment below if you need some help. You know, you talked about the avoidance strategies and then you wanted to like fix things right away. I was the opposite. You know, I wanted to fix things a whole bunch. And then I did a pendulum swing. We wanted to avoid things. And, you know, we actually have a quiz at relationshiprenegades.com that you can take to see what you do in relationships and
we have
how you
all
can,
different kinds of cool quizzes. We have like an attachment style quiz. We have a love language quiz. We have, which are free, by the way.
Yeah, totally
which is so
free.
cool. A conflict style quiz, like to understand what you or your partner might be doing, just so you can have awareness. Because the cool thing is once you are aware, then you can make a choice. Like, do I want to keep living this way in this pattern, or do I want to shift and change it? And if I have this, and if my friend or my partner or my family member has this and I know it, then I can have more compassion for each other as well. And it's like, it's such a game changer.
So my character gets triggered. He doesn't face it. He avoids it. And it's this funny, hilarious thing where she actually ends up, well, I don't want to give it away, but go check it out if you haven't. We think it's funny. What I want to get at is these triggers, right? I was triggered as a therapist. We're all triggered all the time, whether we're a coach, a speaker, an actor, a guru, a business person, whatever. And it's like, do we realize that triggers are gifts? Because they are. As Rachel would say, they're just gifts wrapped in really ugly wrapping paper.
Yeah.
And it's a gift because it's an opportunity to find out and to see what actually hasn't been healed yet within you. Because you can line up 5 people right here and give them the same situation. 2 or 3 out of the 5 will get triggered by that sort of experience that happened. And the other 2 is like, oh yeah, well, she's probably that person who said really harmful things to you. It seems like she's hurt people, and have a higher consciousness and awareness around it and not be triggered about it.
Which I think is so huge for people to recognize that, you know, we talked about the tuning fork analogy in a previous episode, but when you really understand that we are all just creating our own realities and we're projecting those realities onto people. So like Emilio said, it's the same example of like several different people who watch the same movie and literally have so many different takeaways and experiences from that movie. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's so easy to get into this world where we just feel like everybody's having the same experience as me. But in reality, they're not. They're having a completely different experience. And if you want to have a completely different life experience, one that feels more peaceful or harmonious, or you feel less activated and triggered and angry all the time, that is so possible for you. Yeah. And you can create that. But the hard pill to swallow is like, you're the only one that can change it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a hard pill to swallow. At Relationship Renegades, we're all about giving you the red pill. It's up to you if you want to take the red pill. Like in the Matrix, you can keep taking the blue pill and live the same life that you're living. And if you're fine with that, cool. If you want a higher love, if you want a heaven-like experience here on earth, it's possible. And if you don't think, and if you've lost hope, we've been there.
Yeah.
Right.
Big time.
And we've broken through those things, and we've been able to create a heaven on earth experience for a lot of our clients, a lot of our customers, a lot of our family and friends, because we choose that, we want that. And we want to do the work to continuously elevate and ascend to higher states of consciousness.
Yes.
And so when we go back to the triggers, our gifts, let's go within and figure out what's going on there and remove the root. If you want somewhere easy to start, we have a trigger translator at relationshiprenegades.com where you can go put your trigger in, what triggered you. It'll dissect it to the root, see what the root cause is so that you can remove that and be fully free and shining bright, and give other people permission to shine brighter. Because the more that we're shining bright, the more that, you know, we're sort of overturning this darkness that can exist in society. Because if you're in a room and it's dark and you're wanting to fight that darkness, if you're wanting to turn on the light in that dark room, what do? All you do is just turn on the switch. It's just about shining brighter. You don't need to fight anything. You just need to shine bright. And one way that we know that we can is a trigger translator app to help you remove that trigger so you can become more free. You can become, so that you can shine brighter for yourself, your business, your friends, your family.
Yeah, and really just like live the life that you've always wanted to live, or be the person that you know deep down that you can be. You know, and Emilio said earlier about like, sometimes because it can get really hard and challenging out there, to lose hope, and that we have both definitely been there. And I think that's why we're so passionate about talking about this on our show and doing our comedy sketches to help really just inspire anyone out there that there is hope and that we have been there, and that hopefully we can help you feel more safe, seen, heard, and loved on your journey, because that is what changes everything. And just being in the energy of us all together creating this Relationship Renegades movement is such a game changer, because you attract who you are. So you attracted us into your life. And the more that we hang out together like this, the more you're going to attract other people just like this, that are high vibe, like-minded, that want to co-create this or heaven on earth like experience where healthy, happy, harmonious relationships are the new norm. And
it's about, like, the therapist, like, owning their shit. Like, one of our main pillars of Relationship Renegades is owning our shit. Like, when I know that I'm doing something that is not right in our relationship or anything like that, like, we play the game of tricking our ego and doing the reps over and over so that muscle gets bigger and bigger of like, no, I was being passive aggressive there. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that. No, I didn't do that. That was my bad. And that softens the relationship, that breaks down walls, and you get to connect and like, wow, I can't believe you did that. Like, you're so much more sexy and awesome that you were bold and courageous to admit that.
Yes.
Like, wow. And we both practice that. And so it's like, I think it was a Gandhi quote that says, if you want to change the world, change yourself.
Yeah. Start with you. It always starts with you.
You're only always dealing with yourself. That's the red pill. You're only always dealing with yourself. Everyone in the world is a mirror for you and what you have within you. If you see something good, it's because you have it. If you see something bad, it's because there's something probably within you in your DNA. Maybe you're doing it. Maybe you have done it. Maybe you will do it. We're all just mirrors for each other. And that's the hard pill to swallow. That's the red pill. But when you really break it down, and it would take like a weekend to really break that down, like spiritually and scientifically and physics and all this kind of stuff. But you're only always dealing with yourself. That's what we talked about in the beginning of this episode. We're all just walking each other home.
Yes. And so, that there is no there that any of us ever get to where we're just done, because life is about growth. And if we're not growing, well, then we're kind of dying, because life is about this momentum, this movement forward. And, every episode that we do, these dissection episodes of our comedy sketches, we always love to give a practical takeaway and or a challenge. And I love that Emilio brought up the own your shit game, because that is a game that we play that literally has probably saved our relationship and is such a powerful game. So we want to challenge you to try it. Like, just throughout this week, if you can just catch yourself anytime you're maybe reacting in a pattern or you're avoiding or whatever you might do, that you catch yourself in it, right? And not to blame, not to judge, but just be like, hey, there's me doing it. And if you're in a situation with someone else, owning it. Be like, instead of reacting, taking a deep breath and being like, I was being a passive aggressive back there. I was attacking you. I'm sorry. Like, I promise you, if you can catch it and you tell yourself, like, that's how you win the game. Like, because actually that's how you win the game. That is the way that all of your relationships in your life will get better. They'll get easier. They'll get stronger. Because so many times our ego wants to be like, I'm right. I won.
I have a lot of leather-bound books at the house, and I've
you do such a great job of living it. So,
well, that's my job.
But if you win, but you separated from all the people that you love, did you really win? Because I don't know, that feels really like a lonely, not so fulfilled life. I don't know about you, but we want to create a really like fulfilled life with loving, peaceful, playful, supportive relationships in our life. And the first step is being it, right? If you want great friends, the first step is to start being a great friend and watch what happens, see what happens. And if you have any questions about this owning your shit game, leave messages in the comments. We'd love to help you and to hear your journey. If you've done this recently and you're like, oh, I have stories, let us know. We can't wait to hear from you.
To add on to that just a little bit, in men's work, which probably relates to women's work and just human work, because we're all humans, is this, in men's work circles, if anybody is triggered by someone in the group, there could be 50 guys. And if we're doing different experiences, and if somebody gets triggered, there's sort of a process that we go through where I'll raise my hand and I'm like, I'm being triggered by someone right now, and I'll stand up in the circle, and there's like sort of a talking stick, right? You grab that, and it's like, who's over here triggering you? And I think they use a different word, but essentially it's someone triggering you. And it's like this person over here. And it's about like embracing confrontation, but in a healthy way, right? So if you're something that you're triggered with. And so in addition to that kind of owning your shit, I just wanted to paint a little picture or a process for men or for just anybody in your life that you can practice. What I love about this is this. It's a simple 3-step process. First one is they say, what's the data? Just the objective, what happened? Rachel wants me to wash the dishes a lot, right? So I'm going to flip it and say, let's say Rachel does wash the dishes. She's like, Rachel, this man didn't wash the dishes. Okay, yeah, he didn't wash the dishes and he does this to me all the time. No. Don't go into story mode. Just what's the data? He left the dishes in the sink. There was like 10 of them. Okay. And then he walked away and he went to work and then he didn't come back until really late. Okay. That's just what happened. That's just the data, right? What's the feelings? Well, feeling sad, frustrated, mad, because he always does this. And so he just leaves him there. He doesn't care about me, doesn't care what I have to say. And, all these feelings and story, right? And then the third is sort of, you're sharing that with this person. And I think the other person, if I remember correctly, shares kind of like what ended up happening. He was like, well, there was a fire I had to put at work. It was the biggest deal. I needed to save this because it was going to bring a lot of money to our family. And I needed to rush out of the house as fast as possible. I'm dealing with, maybe it's like I'm dealing with like just being in my masculine a lot and doing. And I'm working through that because I want to be more in my feminine, but it's hard for me because of how I grew up. And he's working through the best that he can. And he's in his own trauma world that he's trying to fix. And so he's doing his best, but it has nothing to do with me wanting to hurt someone or that person wanting to hurt somebody. It's just like, this is the situation. And then it's like, oh, I didn't know that. You're starting to see the different realities, the other side of the story, right? And then, but then sort of the last sort of encompassing, let's call it the fourth step, is like, is there anything that you see in this man in yourself? And that's the big question always. That's like sort of the mic drop. It's like, well, yeah, I don't, actually listen to myself, or I don't care about myself actually. And there are things that I say that I want to do and I don't do them. And it's owning your shit of like most of the time, it's really all the time. If you really dive down to the root, what you're blaming or seeing, this person's not doing that. And you see it and you catch it. If you spot it, you got it. If you're seeing all this stuff, oh yeah, this person's doing this. The question is, where am I doing that in my life? Because if you can honestly say that and question that and really reflect and journal or pray or meditate or do breath work or whatever, you're probably doing that somewhere in your life. And when you can finally like flip it, be like, oh wow, I'm actually doing that. And then you actually heal that for yourself, that person doesn't trigger you anymore. Because you've healed that.
So powerful.
And so we do this in men's work, but it's in men's work and shadow work.
It really should just be, it's human work.
It's just human work.
It's human work.
But that's owning the process.
But I love that what you said, that it's the first step is just what's the data and what's the emotion behind, what's the story and the emotion for that one person
that you're creating.
And then you let the other person go to be able to share their emotion and story.
And if they're not there though, you can just skip to the end and be like, where am I doing that in my life?
And I love that you brought that up because one of my favorite books that was probably one of the most life-changing books for me talks about this, and it's Byron Katie's work. Her work, she has a series of questions that she talks about. And one of the questions it's called a turnaround. Because usually anything that we're very triggered by in someone else is something that we're actually doing ourselves and we don't like that we're doing it. So when we see it out in the world, it triggers us. And again, this is exactly why we created the Trigger Translator app on our website, the free tool, as well as all the free quizzes that we have to help you literally put in anything that's bothering you. And it will walk you through a series of questions that are really reflection questions and not only help you uncover the root of what's really going on underneath the anger or the frustration or the anxiety, but also gives you a bunch of different healing tools and processes and practices, even scripts to go off of to be able to have healthier conversations and deal with conflict in a healthier way. So we hope you guys like this episode. We love getting to hang out with you. We can't wait to hear from you in the comments, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode.
Cheers.